You know, in the past, there's been lots of discussions about whether it's safe to modify your guns that you're going to carry for self-defense or not. People are always wondering, hey, is it okay if I do a trigger job on my carry gun? Or is it okay if I put like a Punisher backplate on my carry gun? You know, things like that. Well, today I want to talk about it a little more because right now there's actually a case against a law enforcement officer. I believe he's in Arizona. Was it Mesa, Arizona? No, don't quote me on that, but I think that's where it is. And he actually got in a shoot that was declared to not be justified. It was declared to be a bad shoot. And now that he's going to trial for that bad shoot, the prosecutor is using the fact that he had a dust cover on his AR that he was using for duty, which was not issued by the department. It was his AR that he had cleared for use, which is common in a lot of smaller departments. He had a little dust cover on there that said, "You're fucked." Now, a lot of people are thinking, oh, that just shows that you shouldn't modify your gun at all or put any little slogans or signs or anything on it because you'll get it used against you in court if you ever have to shoot someone. Well, you know, it's not actually an illustration of that. In fact, it's an illustration of something we've been saying all along. If you are going to modify your gun, there's a couple of rules to follow. There's actually a third rule I'm going to add here towards the end, but first I want to talk about the main two rules about modifying your gun. Now, the first is, do not grossly modify your guns. Don't take them outside of what the manufacturer says is the safe and standard operating levels of this gun. If the gun has certain safety features intrinsic to that gun, do not disable them. Now, if the company offers a kit to disable them, that's a different thing because the company is making that kit and therefore saying it is okay, it is safe for this gun to be modified. If the manufacturer says this gun has a standard trigger weight of between 5 pounds and 9 pounds, don't go putting a 2-pound trigger in it. If you ever have to use that gun for self-defense and it's a questionable shoot, a prosecutor could easily say, maybe you didn't intend to shoot them, but you made your trigger so light that you fired accidentally. That would be something that they could do to try to get you convicted. Now, changing things like sights, etc., that's all standard stuff. In fact, you can usually get different sight options with guns. Stuff like that's not really a problem, and sights don't actually change how the gun operates. You're mainly worried about operational standards of that gun. Things about the gun that actually affect the way it operates, the way it works when you pull the trigger. Now, the second rule, which this officer violated, is do not put stupid sayings on your gun. Sayings that indicate that you want to harm somebody, that you want to shoot someone. Things like smile and wait for flash on the end of the barrel, or things like you're fucked on your dust cover. That just doesn't make a lot of sense, and it does indicate that you are hoping that you get to shoot somebody. It could very easily be interpreted to that in a court. Standard pop icon things like a Punisher skull or a Superman emblem in court, they're not going to be relevant to your mindset when you fired that gun. But sayings like, I'm going to shoot me someone today, that would be relevant. Like if I put kill Whitey on the side of my gun, that's actually relevant to my mindset. That's not something that's just a pop icon or readily commercially available. That's something I chose to put on my gun that actually deliberately illustrates my mindset. I can't just say, well, I'm just a Superman fan or I'm a comic book fan. I have to admit, hey, I want to kill Whitey. So that is not a good idea. It's kind of like if you run over a Girl Scout in a crosswalk, well, it might be an accident and people might forgive you. And if you have a Superman bumper sticker on your car, they still might forgive you. But if you have a bumper sticker on your car that says, I don't break for Girl Scouts, people are going to think, hey, that guy probably ran over that Girl Scout on purpose. Because that bumper sticker would be relative to what you did and the mindset involved in doing it. So basically, if you follow those two rules, you'll be pretty safe. And actually, you're pretty safe anyway. If you're in a good shoot, none of that stuff will really matter. It's when you're in a bad shoot that it matters. Like with this police officer, it was declared a bad shoot. He shot a guy that was drunk and just kind of out of it a little bit in a hotel room 5 times with an AR, even after he had dropped to his knees. And that's another illustration of what happens when people make calls about guns, because the reason the guy got shot in the first place is because some people in the pool said they saw someone in a room with a gun and all they had was a BB gun. But the police showed up, the situation got kind of hairy, the people were a little drunk, and somebody got shot unjustly. And now that person is dead, his family is suffering, and the police officer that did this has to live with it and possibly face legal consequences. But like I said, if you're in a good shoot, you don't have to worry about it. So your best bet is just to avoid a bad shoot. Don't shoot if it's questionable. Don't get yourself in situations where you're going to have to make a questionable shoot. Try to live a safe life, be aware of what's going on around you, and avoid trouble. If you avoid trouble, you probably won't find it. Now, one last thing I did want to add that doesn't have anything to do with legal consequences. It has to do with life or death consequences. And that is, do not make any changes to your gun that will make you hesitant to use that gun. If you put a picture of a bunny rabbit on the back of your gun, and when you need to use that gun, you actually pause and think, well, what are people going to think because I've modified my gun? Am I going to be safe? I have modified this gun. If you actually are going to do that, don't modify your gun. Carry a stock gun. If you are not comfortable with the modification and you feel that it might make you wary of using that gun, then don't carry that gun or do not make that modification. Because one of the most important things is that you have total confidence in your gun, and you have total confidence in the fact that you will be correct if you use that gun. You will be in the right if you use that gun, and there won't be anything hanging over your head. Because if you think something is hanging over your head that's questionable, it might make you hesitate, and that can be the difference between life and death. But in the end, all these decisions are dependent on you. What risks you want to take, what risks you don't want to take, what decisions you do want to make, what decisions you don't want to make. Because in the end, the only person taking any risk is you.